of it. We shall be coming to that this morning. You'll have a chance to weigh in on that as well. But first of all, my guest is Honorable Ekundayo Bush-Alebiosu. A fine morning to you because Honorable Bush-Alebiosu is the Lagos State Commissioner for Waterfront Infrastructural Development. It's good to see you again. It's been quite a while, but you were reminding me that it's not been that long. It's not, maybe about 10 years or so.
Good to see you.
Great to see you.
Good morning to you.
Thank you very much. Okay. As I just said, there are those who remember you back in the House of Representatives days. That's one aspect. But today you're Lagos State Commissioner for Waterfront Infrastructure Development. Okay. And Lagos State has served 200 waterfront buildings for the contravention of a notice that it had put out. Of course, the place to start from is what has given rise to, what is the background to, one, your ministry, Waterfront Infrastructural Development, serving this notice on 200 waterfront buildings. Well, waterfront means it must be in front of a waterfront. So where exactly is the location of this place?
Okay, the particular one we went to serve is at Okwaja, a place called Okumokpo Okwaja.
Okay.
In the Lekki axis.
Okay.
And they'd been serving them.
It's a premium property area.
Waterfront is in every part of the world is usually premium. And we have government schemes.
GRAs.
So we actually went to serve them on the government scheme. We have about 3 portions. We have the first portion, which is west of Okwaja. We have another, which is Okumokpo. Okay. And then where the government scheme is bang in the center. The 2 to the left and right are excised parcels of land to the villagers, while government kept the one in the middle. So they got about 36.
Is this what will be called GRAs, or it's different?
They're basically government schemes, and okay. Of course, what we're trying to do, we have to continue to move and get better from where we were to where we ought to be or want to be. Okay. And we continue to set standards. We continue to expand our comfort zones. And we are basically, we can kind of call them government, if we choose to call them government GRAs, because we expect all necessary infrastructure and facilities to be present there. The government portion of it is about 57, both A and B comes together to be about 57 hectares, while that of the villagers comes to a total of 40 and 36, about 77 hectares, okay. 77, 78 hectares to them. But it was now discovered that after selling both portions, they encroached and started to sell the government portion to people. And of course, they were served several years ago. Okay. I think they were first served in 2012. Okay,
I wanted to ask how far back this goes. Yeah. 2012.
Absolutely, yes, correct. And they were also served in of course, I wasn't there then. I wasn't commissioner then. They were served in 2021 as well. And upon resumption, we've had to serve them, I think this would be the third time, twice. We served them twice already. Contravention notices. There were cases, we've encountered quite a bit. In some cases, threats. In some cases, hostility. In some cases, going there back last weekend, we saw that there were buildings that had gone, that weren't there before in the last 3-4 months after we had served them. Okay. And they were already 3 floors up.
Is this coming from the Omoniles or from the purported buyers?
Well, the sales came from the Omoniles, you would say.
Naturally.
And of course, they were based on the advice of the Omoniles, the buyers.
They continued.
They continued.
Wow.
Even when they were at lintel level, we asked them to. They were served. Some were served even when there was nothing telling them that this land belongs to Lagos State government. And unfortunately, some of those portions of land most of them had already been allocated to people who had already paid.
Oh, okay. By Lagos State, had been allocated by Lagos State government.
By Lagos State government.
And so now Lagos is not able, well, seemingly is unable to fulfill its obligation. If you say some of them had been sold.
Not by Lagos State. I mean, some of them had been allocated by Lagos State.
Yes.
And they were sold also afterwards by the Omoniles. And we're saying, no, you can't. You can't sell what's not yours to sell in the first place anyway.
And now this involves 200 waterfront.
Yeah, around about 200 people were served. Yes.
You know, we have a report on it, but thank you very much for giving me that quick summary, that quick overview. Let's play this report that we made earlier on.
Leading a team of officials from the Ministry of Waterfront Infrastructure Development, Commissioner Bush-Alebiosu conducted an inspection tour in Okwaja, identifying numerous properties that have encroached on government land.
We've had it's been an ongoing issue where we have gone through the processes. This would be the last one. We've served about 200 houses today so far in total, based on the various contraventions that have been committed. Moving from here now means we have to come up. We definitely will be coming in back in with the Ministry of Physical Planning. First of all, to take possession, and also there are quite a number of buildings here without waterfront clearance.
The Commissioner also advised all other illegal occupants on waterfront schemes across the state to approach the ministry for proper clearance to avoid similar actions.
I've been guided by the legal units and the estate unit that have required us to have done the first notice, the second stop work, or we've issued stop work orders, we've issued notices, and despite that, we've gotten to see that they have continued even after receiving the stop work orders. So the only thing we have to do now is, the law has to take its course.
This move, according to the ministry, is to ensure the orderly development of Okwaja waterfront and other waterfront areas in Lagos. Esther Mapariola, TVC News.
Well, there you have it, both from the Commissioner himself and indeed the pictures. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So thank you once again for giving us that background, because some of the things that weren't in the report did come out in the background.
Correct.
Here we are. You said the next step is to come back with the physical planning guide.
Yes. What I try to do is not to work in silos. I work with, I handshake a few ministries, environment, physical planning, and transport, a few other ones. Mm-hmm. And of course, if I had been there 3 months ago or 4 months ago, and it was bare land,
yes,
and going back 4 months after, a building is already 3 or 4 stories up, it shows something is wrong somewhere. So the best thing to do would always be to work with the physical planning ministry, which we normally do. And it's important to know that it's not a blanket approach towards each parcel of land has its peculiarity,
okay,
to be honest.
Okay. Does that mean that the reaction from Lagos State government, and one notices that you always try to, satisfy so many different aspects of regulations and the laws, and give the background to some of these things, that these people, it wasn't yesterday that this started, even though the outcry makes it seem as if it's an immediate thing. But what you've just said, does that suggest that it won't be a one-size-fits-all approach? You would take each case individually. How is that, considering that you say that this clearly was designated as government, the Lagos State government, property? To the left and to the right, you've said none of that, and transactions were continuing as they should. So how are you going to work out in what you've said is being delineated as government property? What does it mean? Because this might be giving some people who got, they didn't say all of us.
No, it's actually, sorry, it's actually everybody that falls within the government portion of things. For me, it's basically it's similar to a case of having 2 loaves of bread and still having interest in the slice that belongs to government. It's important, again, like I said before, to note that some of these portions of land had already been allocated to some people who have their letters of allocation with them. From government.
From government.
Yes.
So those lands,
yes,
you now saw that some of those lands have actually been built upon.
Yes.
Okay.
Some have been built. Some had already been built way before, several years ago. Some were intentionally built after they had been served. Some of them had only been at the lintel. Some had even been at the foundation level. But they still continued. They seem to have this.
How does that happen? Because what I mean by that is, before you begin the process of putting up anything, physical planning and all of the different handshakes that you were speaking about, they have to have an input. So when people now do what you just said you observed and went there physically, is that speaking to some sort of lawlessness? Or can they, because when some other operations happened, I think I remember the Maryland people, and some of them were bringing out documentation to show that, look at my clearance, look at my approval, as you put it.
You can't say you have experienced life until you have lived it. You'd be amazed how ingenious people can be. I have seen cases where it's like visa. You can be granted visa, genuine visa, but does that mean that you actually secured the visa with genuine documents? I would use that as an example here. There are cases where there are cases of deceit, where people there's something called flying the coordinates. Give you the impression at the point of approval that, oh, this is where it is.
Okay.
But on getting there, you now find out that it's actually not at that particular spot. People are very creative. Not everybody.
This particular instance, example that you just cited, that would be fraudulent, right?
Absolutely, which means you were able to secure your planning approval based on falsified documents. Now, there's an arrangement where no approval is granted when it comes to waterfront schemes without a clearance from the table of the Commissioner for Waterfront.
Okay.
And they don't have their clearance, or their clearances, and quite a number of them don't even have the planning approval. And that's why I said, you know what, I'm pretty much a very thorough person. And that's why I said, what we're going to do is we would go back there with physical planning. We will scrutinize all the documents. We will take those with buildings on them. Those who had been served but still continued are a different case. Those who have their parcels of land with just shanties on them, their parcels of land with bungalows on them, their parcels of land with at the foundation floor construction. They're different things. We would now look at, and there's some who had already built even before government had moved in to say, listen, stop. Okay. You have encroached way back before then. Some had even tried to do what you call regularization. But how do I regularize for somebody what belongs to another person? Or how do I accommodate? They call it regularization, I call it accommodation. How do I accommodate somebody on someone else's land? I have a duty to be fair across board.
Okay. And again, what this seems to imply to me is that nobody that has touched the land, let me put it like that, since there are varying stages of development, nobody that has touched the land has actually had their documents submitted to your desk as the commissioner and who must give clearance.
Absolutely.
Nobody.
Not at all.
So you haven't signed clearance for anybody?
Not at all. No, absolutely not anybody. I haven't seen. I've seen since we served them. It's been we've had so many people flocking into the ministry trying to regularize, and I'm saying no. We have to go through certain processes. We have to lay down the master plan. We have to look at where they fall, Has it been occupied? Some of the people who were legitimately giving the allocations were threatened. I've had cases where members, directors of the ministry were intimidated. I was on ground once when we went there, and they didn't realize I was the commissioner, and they were intimidating or trying to intimidate members of the ministry. And of course, those who know me know that I will not take that. I will be as fair to everybody as possible. I'll be as professional to everybody as possible, but I will not buckle to intimidation.
The law, is the law.
We have to go through processes even to make sure that we're able to do certain things for certain, we will continue to remember. I understand, you've said I've been a legislator, and I understand that man isn't made for law, but law is made for man,
Okay. I understand we had a caller, and I used the past tense because we just, as I was speaking, lost him.
Okay.
But other people will call in. This is a very serious matter, and Lagos being what it is, maybe most states are like that. Most cities are like that, where there will be people, especially people who are involved with waterfront buildings, waterfront parcels of land, that consider themselves to be men of timber and caliber and men of influence. I wouldn't be surprised if if any had a personal relationship with the governor and have been, reaching his office to try to bring influence to bear, giving the usual explanation of everything that I need to do, I have done, and now I'm hearing this notice. Mr. Governor, could you come in? Is the governor going to stay out of this and leave the law to take its course?
We have to understand that Mr. Governor, I, and other members of the EXCO have two lives. They have their private lives and they have their public lives. First of all, I wouldn't know who the friends of Mr. Governor are.
Neither would I.
That's his private life. It's important to know that. And secondly, Mr. Governor has always stayed aloof. He's carefully chosen professionals to man the ministries, and he has not tried to micromanage us at any time. I'll speak for myself. He's not tried to micromanage me. Okay. I've never received any call from him asking to step one issue down. Or
stay a particular action?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, he's always challenging us to bring the best out in us. Till date, I haven't received any call from anybody saying they've come from Mr. Governor. Nor have I received a call from Mr. Governor asking to step down a case. He will ask us, he'll throw some salvo at you to say what's going on there at different times. Yes, he does that from time to time. He'll catch you off guard. What's going on? Fill me in. I need to know what's going on. But outside of that, it's been strictly professional.
Okay. Well, hello, I have a caller in there. Who is at the other end of the line? Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Who is calling in?
Mr. Adebayo, calling from Lekki.
Mr. Adebayo calling in from Lekki. Go right ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. My concern is that yes, most of this building has been fully built, and by regulation, Lagos State Building Control Agency is supposed to know what's going on there. So why is it that they allow the building to get to that level without being stopped? Because the Honorable Commissioner is confirming now that some of these buildings have been built even before the notice was given to those who have taken over the property.
Okay, yeah. But I wonder, did you hear him when he said that sometimes people come in with all sorts of shenanigans and actually manage to deceive issuing authorities?
Yeah, you are right. But,
he said that. But let me let the commissioner speak for himself. Let me give the question to the commissioner.
I believe the people, the officials in the ministry are conniving with them.
Okay. Okay.
So they need to be penalized. The people will not be losing their resources.
All right then. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr.
Adebayo. First of all, I would start by saying that I've gotten the opportunity to work with amazing professionals in the Ministry of Waterfront. we're all humans. And of course, even Jesus had a disciple betray him. It's a human thing. So there's no perfect human being. However, I would make it clear, very explicitly clear, that it was made, all the notices were made clear. It wasn't until after it was discovered that a few people, not a lot of people, a few people had encroached, that they went to serve them in 2012 to say you have to stop work.
And we're 2024 now.
Yes,
so
and they went back
12 years ago.
Yes, 2012, 2021. Upon I just gave a few cases. I could count about 3, 4, 5 of those buildings that I thought this was bare land.
In the
last 4 months.
Yes.
Suddenly, I'm seeing 2-story buildings, 3-story buildings sitting on that parcel of land. And the marks were still clearly there. We even saw other agencies of government.
After the marks, you saw a continuation of the building process.
Absolutely. You know, thinking, oh,
it's being sorted.
Nothing is probably going to happen.
Either that or it is being sorted. Don't worry, continue.
Well, I don't know who told them that.
Yes.
But one thing I know for sure, maybe those who sold them said that to them. Because we had actually invited the Omoniles to meetings to say, well, we have noticed something is going on there. You need to stop. We had engaged them, especially when they were intimidating threats of violence.
Yeah.
We engaged them. We invited them to. I wanted to speak with them and to let them know that, no, you cannot do this. You need to. But we realized that it was even after we had engaged them and we had gone there that we saw that they sped up work. And of course, their processes, their legal processes. And I will not do anything without listening to my legal team at work to say, this, I will not infringe or trample upon any law.
Okay. Besides, there is the rights of those who you said have been legitimately sold to that you are now unable to, satisfy.
And have to protect.
And indeed have to protect. Hello, we have another caller on the line. Well, again, the lines are a bit, I don't know, shaky this morning because, as you heard, we just lost that one as well. What is the timeline that you have set for this whole operation? As the ordinary person sees it, patience is not lacking here. If this whole process of cease and desist started back in 2012, then you said 2020.
2012, 2021, 2023, after I resumed, I served again. I reminded them. We referenced the previous...
Is this going to go on then?
Not at all. We're the end of the road now.
I was going to say, can they have soccer until, well, by 2025, 2026, we'll serve them another notice because they have a history. Government came in 2012. Here we are, Emakolo.
Well, to be honest with you, maybe because it's amazing that they were served yet continued. Now we're at the end of the rope. We have to do what we have to do. We have to toe the line of the law. We're going to be going back with physical planning, and we're going to need to take possession of those properties, which we definitely will do, and hand over to those.
And when government starts talking about, you're being very discreet because it's a very traumatic thing. You're talking about needing to take possession. That's when government usually shows up with bulldozers. You haven't used that expression at all.
No, not at all. Like I said, we would have to apply.
Before, sir, let me just quickly bring in this caller so I don't lose that one again. Hello, good morning, and please identify yourself.
Yeah, my name is Kemi. I'm actually calling from Shongotedo.
Kemi in Shongotedo. Okay, good morning. Yes. Go ahead.
Good morning. Please, I want to confirm from the Honorable Commissioner the notice given to the residents of the Okumoku, because recently the other side of Shongotedo has been pulled down. So I want to find out, is it going to affect this other side called United Estates and the environs, or is the back of it? Because we are made to believe that Shongotedo United Estates is very free and we can go with our work there. My father has a property there for the past 20 years, 25 years thereabouts. So I don't know if it's going to affect us because we've been trying to make inquiry when we saw what happened in the other side of Shangotedu, if it's going to affect us here. Well, we were told that it's not going to affect us. So I want to ask from the Honorable Commissioner, is it going to affect us? Are we safe? Or we should also expect the same thing from the Lagos State government?
Okay, thank you for calling in, Kemi.
If the land abuts water, or if it falls within a waterfront scheme, or it falls on reclaimed land, there's a requirement for clearance, waterfront clearance. And it's part of what...
That's a special category of clearance.
Absolutely. It's one of the things you're going to need before you proceed to get planning approval. And we encourage people to, yes, we understand that. Look at what physical planning is doing at the moment. I know they had also thrown in EXCO approved, I think it was a 6-month or 3-month window for amnesty window for people without building plan approvals to go perfect them. That's a different category entirely from when you encroach on what belongs to another person. And it's another issue to not have building approval. It's another issue to not have waterfront clearance. So it depends on where they fall. Off the top of my head, I need to see the master plan so I can see where they fall there. If they fall within the waterfront scheme, then they would have to approach the Ministry of Waterfront Infrastructure Development, or they fall on reclaimed land, or or they're on an island.
By the way, reclaimed land is something that Lagos State government frowns upon if not done according to strict protocols, right?
Absolutely.
If people just bring their own money to the issue and reclaim land,
absolutely,
that's something that Lagos State government doesn't take kindly to. So in the case of, Kemi just called in, those who are expressing the kind of haziness that she is, your advice to those set of people would be?
To approach waterfront, and then they can be well guided for as long as they fall within those types of land that I have highlighted.
Now, when we talk about, when you use the expression, government will need at some time to take possession, I wanted to know the timeline for that. We're talking now.
More sooner than later, because we have, like I said, I've been commissioner for about 10 months now, and we served them shortly after, and till date, not until we started to mark the houses before they started to approach. They had disregarded a number of orders that they were giving.
Usually when, looking at recent examples, usually when government arrives to take possession, the people claim, some of them have claimed publicly that we didn't know, they didn't give us any notice, and that kind of thing. That was why I was trying to see if, are you at liberty now to speak about in 4 weeks from now, in 6 weeks from now, government processes, having waited all this while, will commence?
We think we just need to conclude with physical planning, and then we're moving. I won't be able to tell you, but I know that it's going to be much, much, much more sooner than later.
So we're not looking at 6 months' time?
And no, we're not looking at it. That's a long time away from now. What we're looking at is, we expect, like I said, it's not a one-brush cleans all. We need to take every portion of land that falls within that master plan, that scheme. We need to look at it. Who were those who had been there way before then, before we were informed, and after they had been informed, some of them had even tried.
Those will have I won't say special, a particular kind of attention, right?
Well, I would say so, because we would look at what happens until they come, and then we're able. People have started responding in large numbers, and we're looking at
because those that have infringed. There's no other word. We're talking legalisms here.
Correct.
Those that have infringed on government's on the government, government's land. But as you said, when individual cases come to be looked at, it is quite possible that government might, according to some process, allow them to be. But that remains to be seen.
When we get to that bridge, we'll be able to cross it.
We'll be able to cross it. Well, I want to say, that Honorable Ekundayo Bush-Alebiosu, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure.
Indeed. It's information, so we know what is going on and how long it has been going on for. Thank you, as always, for coming on to sort of inform the public on these kind of issues.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed, our pleasure. So, okay, then we'll take a break. We'll be right back, and then we'll go to the other topic that I spoke about, talking about focusing on the planned nationwide